Jeff, fresh off an exciting World Baseball Classic, let's welcome Team Israel pitcher and also president of venues for City Winery. That's not a combination we often give with our guests, Shlomo Lipitz, to the show. Shlomo, thank you for the time today.
Of course. I guess that's what you get when you're still playing baseball at 44.
Well, talk to us about that. So you're 44. You were the second oldest player to participate in the World Baseball Classic this year. Talk to us about the experience getting to go through it again for you.
Wait, who's the oldest?
Somebody
Yeah,
older than
we're the
44.
oldest.
Somebody older than 44. What was that experience like for you, though, to be the veteran on the team now who's been there before? You were on the first World Baseball Classic Israeli team. You've been a forerunner on a lot of the other Israeli teams that have played in baseball. Can you talk about that for our listeners?
Sure. I mean, the same way you adjust physically, any player in the big leagues or any other player in any professional sports who continues to play throughout or longer than the normal average athlete will tell you that you keep making adjustments with how you throw, how you handle yourself. And for me, it's not only been an adjustment on coming to terms that I'm not throwing sidearm 89 miles an hour anymore, but more of like a mid to high 70s, low 80s if I'm lucky. It's also adjusting the mindset on what my role is on the team, and being comfortable. I definitely don't think I'm call me the mensch on the bench or some, I'm not a mascot. I think I'm, in a lot of ways, I still in my head feel I could get anyone out off, any batter out, but it's more just being comfortable, kind of showing some of the lineage for a lot of these athletes who for the first time playing for Team Israel. I mean, I think Team Israel in the Classic is not unique in its, I would say, the fabric of the team. Most teams, if you look at the rosters up and down, most of the teams had players that had very little connection to the country they played for, especially the countries outside of Japan and the United States. I mean, look at Mexico. They had a Cuban player that, a month ago didn't even hold a Mexican citizenship. So for me, it's all about kind of my role as I see it now is we have so little time as a team. So it's kind of getting the guys together on that first day this year in Miami, or we kind of got everyone together for dinner. Just telling about a little bit of myself, a little bit about the team, a little bit about the experience as someone who's experienced this was my third World Classic. And just try to create some of that magic sauce. Just feeling them connection. One of the things that I always kind of like to mention, which just hearing from other American players who played for Team Israel before, is that most of these players, Jews, are not notorious for being outstanding athletes. I mean, that's no secret. I would say I'm 6'4". If I walk around in Israel in any room, I'm probably in the 1%er looking down at most people. So I think for most of the players, it's the first time that they've ever been in a baseball team or in a some type of organized sports. So sometimes even in their schools or local communities with more than one or two Jewish athletes or teammates. And as an Israeli, I've learned to understand. When I say as an Israeli who was born and raised in Israel, where everyone around me is Jewish, is Israeli. You don't have to go out of your way to celebrate Yom Kippur. You don't have to go out of your way to celebrate Passover. You just can't buy bread in stores and you can't buy bread in restaurants. For Jewish American as an identity, they have this real search and kind of like drive to feel connected to something bigger. Some of them have bar mitzvah, some of them have not. Some of them, like Ty Kelly, his dad is a preacher. So there's different people from different spaces of life, and my job, I guess, is just to kind of connect the old and the new, and connect the Jewish with the Israeli and put it into context.
A lot of people have talked, especially about this World Baseball Classic, about the bonds that the players have developed on these teams and how exciting this experience has been for the teams. What was your experience like, as far as you talked about the dinner, but the actual games and the practices and being around other teams in other countries? What has the experience been like for you? And what have you noticed about the World Baseball Classic that seems to have made it more than just an exhibition.
Well, just for clarity, I'm not sure if you guys are fully aware. I was in the extended roster, meaning I was eligible to play for the second round. So I was with the team leading up to the World Classic, and then I had to go back out of really big production in Carnegie Hall. But to your
dual life,
I've definitely done enough of these to kind of tell you exactly what you need. I mean, you talk and you're around pro athletes all the time. I mean, especially in baseball, where most baseball players go through the minor league system. And they're exposed to so much of the politics, and they're exposed to so much of all the bull that goes around the sport that's not purely the sport itself. Rather, it's being, it was fascinating reading Ron Way's kind of his goodbye letter. I'm not sure if you guys read it. He just kind of hung his shoes and just talks about just the journey, and just in a lot of ways when you're in the minor leagues, you feel like everyone's against you, and it makes no sense. You could have the best outing, you'd still be dropped down because of some kind of contract kind of detail. And people have been hearing a lot this past couple of weeks just how long the seasons are and how meaningless every game is. And the one common denominator, and why I think all these, even these top major league players kind of say, like, it's for the first time for those who are lucky enough to make it far in college, and make it to the College World Series, where every pitch counts, where you're dialed in on every single thing that's happening on the field, and you don't have to play to feel exhausted after a game. Because, I mean, just look at the fans and look at the players during a regular league, regular season major league game. You're doing everything besides focusing on the game, because it just becomes this kind of mundane kind of process. So that intensity, that level of kind of focus and the engagement of the fans. I mean, I would say my top experience not being there, in one of the Dominican or Venezuelan or Puerto Rican games was in the Tokyo Dome in 2017. We had 55,000 Japanese fans in the stands 2 hours prior to the game, and I don't know if they had little porta potties or peed in a bag, or not a single person left their seat for 3.5 hour game. And then post game, they have these interviews, and nobody left until the last person was interviewed. You don't see that in a baseball game, even in a sold out any park in the United States, any sold out park in any given time, 40% of the fans are not in their seats. So that takes away from the atmosphere. So the atmosphere plus the intensity of the game, plus this year for the first time. So 2000 up until this year, not sure if you remember, there are 2 rounds of brackets. When we qualified in Korea, there were only 4 teams, and then we qualified to the second round in Tokyo, and there was another 4 team bracket. This year, after that first round, it's one and done. So even more so, every single game counts so much. And it just, one of the reasons I've kept playing this long is when I'm on the field, I forget about real life. It's a game. It's fun. You want to, you just want to have fun on the field. And it's amazing how much the word fun has popped up in the past couple of weeks from, top players in the world.
Separate from the fun on the field, what you guys are doing for kids in Israel who, when you were growing up, baseball wasn't everywhere. You got lucky to be near a place that you found baseball. And after your military service, you approached a coach about playing baseball. But through your efforts playing for Israel baseball, you guys are building baseball fields there. You're giving the next generation of players who want to be like you the chance. What does that mean to you to be able to do that back in Israel?
It means a lot. Listen, I don't remember a lot from my child, just some kind of the day-to-day kind of feelings and emotion. I do remember vividly, and I think any kid could relate to it, is to become what you want to become, you need a role model. You need someone to look up, and you want, if it's, and I think sometimes we get a little spoiled here because there's so many fields, there's so many players, there's so many outlets to be able to kind of see a game and see your favorite player. Not to have growing up anyone where I could say, like, I want to swing like this person, I want to field the ball this way, I want to I want to swag up like this player. I want to be, I want to be able to throw the pitch this way, just because baseball was non-existent in Israel. Two, it was before the age of the internet. There was no really cable TV. The sum of my fixation of the game was, having my aunt send me pack of baseball cards every couple of months. So I would say the most impactful thing for me is, and what I hope and what I enjoy when I go back to Israel, to kind of just spend as much time as I can with the field, and why I love the fact that some of the 2017 players and some of the players now have now gone back to Israel multiple times, is the fact that there's a good chance that some kid out there in Israel who now has not only the ability to research and watch games online and to watch the games on TV, but to be able to have a role model that they feel connected to, whether it be an identity or to have that 10-year-old kid who now sees a clearer path for them to choose baseball over basketball or soccer, and to see the path that they could have, whether it be college, pro, whatever it is. That for me is the most impactful thing, in addition to, of course, the baseball field, and just have a infrastructure that now exists but still needs a lot of work on.
You've pitched all over the globe, and you've been doing it for several decades now. How is it that you continue to find the time? I mean, you have a full-time job now that takes you to a whole different cool area in music and rock and roll. How do you find the time to continue to keep your arm in position to put yourself on a team playing in the World Baseball Classic? And what motivates you to keep doing it?
It sounds corny. I love playing baseball. I mean, the reason why I'm a little nuzzy and cold is because at 35-degree weather, I played, I pitched 4 innings on Sunday. It doesn't matter. I've driven hours. I've, flown across the. I love the game so much. I'm not even a big talker. Most of the teams that I play with now in New York, I'm one of like 5 white players, English speaking, and everything is in Spanish. I don't understand a word in Spanish. It doesn't matter. We speak the international language of baseball, and I think it just helped. I work off in my daytime job. I work really, really hard with a passion, and I all I could do is wish for anyone who's seeing this or listening to this, that especially New Yorkers, we work way too hard, is just to have another outlet to just put down your phone, to be able to be in the outdoors, just do it. It could be anything. I've never ever said this is my last year I'm going to be playing. I've always said that the only way for me not to play is the coach to tell me, okay, Shlomo, it's you're going to sit out this time, and let's see if they could do that. So I think I justify working so hard knowing that I have another outlet to kind of do my thing. You all know it becomes very hard to motivate yourself to go out and work out, and I want to be decent on the field, so that results in me wanting to go out and work out in the gym and work off season, especially since I moved to the East Coast from the West Coast. Doing any type of exercise outdoor, October, November through March is pretty much impossible. So just finding creative ways to work indoors. And I don't mind taking my Saturday off. Now, I'm working on growing my family. I think, I wish I was a dad a little earlier in my career, but I don't know if I'd still be playing baseball if I had a family. So I understand why either, once you have kids and you have, a bigger family, it may become harder, but I just wish for everyone out there, just find another thing to do besides your day-to-day work.
Well, let's talk about that double life. You had joked that you joked to music people that you'll rip off your jeans and have your baseball uniform underneath it. Talk to us about that music world. You're the president of venues for City Winery. You've worked with some of the biggest names in music and entertainment. What is that side of life like for Shlomo?
Not that different. I mean, I joke around. I love what I do. I work hard on at what I do. I mean, I've found, I think anyone who's had to interact with a celebrity, a top athlete, top musician, will tell you, and tell you that the last thing that they want is that the people around them will become, act like little fanboys. You know, they hate if they're in an interview. I'm sure if you've interviewed some high profile people, or you're hanging them backstage, or you hang, in the locker room, they don't want to talk about their day-to-day, baseball career or music. They don't want to be taking, you don't want to take selfie with them. You just want to talk about everything else. I mean, I remember the first time I met Eddie Vedder in Mexico City. All he wanted to talk about is baseball. I actually gave him Ty Kelly's helmet after the 2017 World Baseball Classic, because I know he's an avid collector of baseball memorabilia. So I've kind of taken that, and over the years, just also interacting with big leaguers, just because of kind of I was lucky to have some opportunities. So in a lot of ways, the way I've treated musicians and what I think helped me be successful in the music business is really just having another side. It's a common knowledge. Athletes want to be musicians want to be actors want to be athletes. Everyone wants to be something else. So for me to be able to have another thing to talk about that's not, what's your favorite band, what's your favorite record, I think definitely helped me. It's amazing. One of the things I got exposed to when I moved to the States, and your college coaches are trying to kind of convince you why it's okay to wake up 5 days a week be in the weight room at 6 a.m, and they kind of pump you with all the, you're gonna work the hardest in the country, and being a student athlete gives you advantage in life, and I came after 21, older than most students. I did my military service. I'm like, I'm not going to learn really anything. I'm already mature and a grown man. And there's a lot of stuff I took from college, and definitely I would agree that student athletes have an advantage out in the workforce. Not only work habits, but also just the network. So I think a lot of musicians that I work with are following me on Instagram, following me on Facebook. All they want to talk about is how can they get my bobblehead or a T-shirt, which I think is hilarious. And it's just another thing to talk about, which I think they really bonded with. And I think music business, like any other business, is very competitive, and that's a competitive advantage. And I've taken advantage of it and made everyone around me feel very comfortable. And again, most musicians love something else, and to be able to talk about something else is great, and has been great.
Well, you mentioned that most athletes want to be rock stars and most rock stars want to be athletes. So you've played with a lot of athletes. Which of those athletes still think that they should be on a stage and you should be promoting them?
It's a tough one there.
That's a complex question, but I'm trying to think.
Who of the athletes you've played with thinks they should be the biggest rock star?
And no, we won't hold you to Ty Kelly up on stage. Don't worry.
Yeah. Well, Danny Valencia thinks he should be, the king of all kings. I mean, I've never met someone so cocky, but in the best possible way. He thinks everyone should be bowing down, and and you've got to fake it to make it, which I love. I mean, one of the things that I've enjoyed the most with, I'm going to change a little bit the topic, but one of the reasons I think why the success of Team Israel, why we've had success in the past, 12 years, we always had this mentality. And I think and I'm going to generalize about the Jewish people here. We've always had this mentality of this underdog, this victim, where we gotta be the David and beat the Goliath. And I remember the first time meeting Danny, and here comes a guy who played in Miami, which was one of the cockiest colleges of all time. I mean, every single athlete I've ever met who played who play there thinks they're the hot. It's amazing. And he's just giving me crap for, like, what do you mean you want to surprise people? We're gonna beat every single team. Like, what do you mean you like, we belong here, and that's contagious. And I think having this new blood of players that have had success in baseball has really, and have had this kind of we belong mentality, has completely changed how we perceive ourselves and how we act on the field. And I think every great team, whether it be the Chicago, the whether it be the Lakers or the Jordan's team, I mean, they have that kind of it factor where it's like, even if you're not the best team that day, everyone kind of has that fear. Everyone, you believe that you could beat every single team, and that's kind of part of that mentality. It has nothing to do with what you asked me earlier about the musician, because, to be honest, I don't think I've had any interaction with any professional athlete that actually was playing. I just kind of I've heard stuff and I've read stuff. When it comes to athletes, I know for sure other musicians want to be athletes and actors. But it's a known fact. It's just about trying to do something outside of your normal kind of mundane life, rather it be if you're a regular person on the street or a professional, whatever.
Well, we did have one of your teammates, Garrett Stubbs, on a few weeks ago. I don't know if he wants to be a musician, but apparently he is the DJ in the clubhouse.
Right? Yeah, he's the Phillies club DJ. Look, Shlomo, we look forward to seeing what the next generation of players build on top of the foundation that you've helped us start. And I wish you the best.
Looking forward to playing with them.
Look, apparently you're the cool dad, according to Sam Folds. So we'll have to keep you around to let you play with all of them. Look forward to following your story and wish you the best of luck with the business side as well. Thanks so much for giving us some time today.